I've had a bunch of people in the last few days ask me about animating bento tongues. I know we're kind of jumping around from topic to topic, but this is a quick, easy one we can do today. I think tomorrow I'm going to talk about animating or bento heads in general. So we need to add an Avastar here. Extended. We select all. I'll hit period to zoom in. Open up the side panel. Turn all these off. And I always go into orthographic mode. Okay, so we're talking about tongues today. So the tongue on the bento facial bones is a very unique bone because it's the only bone, relatively speaking, the only bone in the face that you can use translation on without affecting any of the sliders or anything like that. There are other bones that will not affect sliders, but the tongue is a special case because the tongue is a bone where we want to use bone translation to move the tongue around, but we still want to use all the sliders too. But the tip of the tongue is not affected by any of the sliders. So we can move this bone freely without too many problems. Now, a lot of people ask me, well, how do I move this bone? Because they come in here and they look at the face. And let me look at my live stream here. Hello, everyone. We have 9 people watching now. All right. So people load up Avastar here. And they go to move this bone and it does this. So, and that's not what we want. We want to be able to move this bone away from the other bone. And the reason why this is happening here is because this bone is connected to the face-tongue base bone. So these two bones are connected together. And so how do we disconnect them? Now, normally, if we were not using Avastar, we would have to go into Bone Edit. We go into Bone Edit here, but we'll use Avastar here. And we need to display the bones. And of course, we have 2 sets of bones in the face. One are the green bones for animating. You see these green eyeballs. And the other set of bones are the deforming bones, which are the blue bones. Okay, so if I keep selecting this tongue tip here, we see we have 2 different bones we're selecting. And both of those are connected. So traditionally, we would have to go in here and disconnect, click off that, and disconnect it, and click off that one and disconnect it, and then go back into pose. But we're not going to do that. Of course, we're not going to do that because we have a special setting in Avastar just for this. So let's go back into pose mode here. I want to turn those off, and we're on that tip of the bone, the tip of the tongue there. And where do we have rig configuration here? Or is it rig configuration, or is it somewhere else here? Here we go. Posing. Under the posing tab, we have unlock here. Anim bones. Let's open this up in a little bit. Anim bone translation. Unlock. Okay. Now at the top here it says all bones. Now if we did that, in most cases we do not want to do this because if I do this now, when I move this bone, uh-oh, something's broken there. So let's go back to locked. See, now when I move this bone, it'll move nicely. It'll move all together in its chain. So we don't want all bones, obviously. We just want the tongue tip bone. So we're going to select the tongue tip. We're going to choose selected here and unlock here. And now we can move that bone around freely. We can move it up, down, wherever, spin it around. And as you can see, there's the tongue in there. And in most cases, we also want to open the mouth if we're going to use the tongue in such ways, right? So there we go. And I don't know if this tongue in here is rigged all that well. But that's how you would move the bone and unlock it and everything. And if anybody has any questions, we have 10 people watching now. If anybody has any questions, please ask me in chat. So the next question is going to become, how do I export this animation that I'm going to make using this new bone here, this unlocked bone? So we're going to go into our animation panel. I'm going to hit 5, zoom into the face. I'm going to go into Action Editor. I'm going to create a new animation. And I want auto keying on. And I'm going to move that bone around. There we go. And this bone was moved, so we have 2 bones there that are now moving. But now we have a problem because the jawbone is only using rotation and the tongue bone is using translation. If I try to upload this into Second Life with all this translation stuff, then it's going to have translation on the jaw, which is going to ruin my sliders. Sorry, I have people messaging me on Skype. So I have a problem. I have an animation with both bone translation and where I only want rotation. Okay, when we export animations, if we look at our export options here, we have an option at the very bottom for exporting with bone translation. So we have this part of the problem solved. Of course, we have bone location here, location data here. And we have rotation data. We have scaling data, but that's not going to be read in Second Life at all. On the jawbone now, we have location data. Now we do not want this location data inside the animation here. So the way to turn this off is to mute it. So now we can have our tongue bone with translation data and our jawbone with no translation data because they're muted. Okay, so every bone, if we used more and more bones in the face, we'd have to go in and mute all of their location if there is location data. Or, of course, you don't have to just mute it. You could take that and just delete that out. And it would accomplish the same thing. And then in your export, you would export with bone translation. So now you would have bone translation on the tongue, but none on any of the other bones because you either muted them or deleted them out. So I think I just wanted this to be a quick video on this topic of animating tongues and how you would do it. We have 11 people watching right now, but I think that's the video for today. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'm going to talk about bento heads and the best way to create, or possibly the best way to create a bento head that uses all the sliders. But that's the video for today, everyone. Have a good one.